Good morning. It is 7:30. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett here on this June 19th, 2024. Happy Juneteenth to you. And we are live here on News 6 Plus. I'm Bridgett Ellison. It's good to be with you. And we have to get to, all the things to get you out the door. We'll get to some news as well. And we have a live interview this morning with someone who is a professional at conflict resolution. And we'll be talking about conflict resolution when it comes to situations at work. So whether you're working from home, working in an office, running your own business, a manager, an employee, we're going to get into it in a little bit. So stick with us for that. But first, we want to get you out the door. And meteorologist Candace Campos is in the Pinpoint Weather Center we're starting off with some sprinkles on this Wednesday.
Yeah, some of them are still kind of packing a little more of a punch already this morning, and they are holding, because they're moving so fast, they can get pretty far inland before they all kind of fall apart. So it's kind of a dreary looking start to the morning. Gives a lot of very tropical
Vibes.
system kind of vibe where we got the breeze. Temperatures are still kind of warm. It's cloudy, and the rain, you don't know if it's going to rain or not kind of feel. That's what the weather is the moment you walk out the door. So welcoming on this Wednesday. So let's take it to the map, show you what's going on. Right now, we're dealing again with those speedy showers throughout early in the morning. Now, we're going to continue to keep that chance for rain in the forecast throughout the afternoon. We're going to increase that moisture even further, though, as we head into your Thursday and Friday, all thanks to basically this week disturbance that's just north of the Bahamas. It has been highlighted by the National Hurricane Center. We'll show you more on that. And then as we head into your weekends, a few more scattered storms. Temperatures, though, will be warming up a little further than what we're seeing for the next few days. So this is what the radar looks like right now, folks. So again, steady showers streaming in from the ocean. And we're going to continue to see these like little downpours at times. Look at you guys there in Melbourne, Palm Bay, Grant Milk area, seeing some pockets of some heavy rain at times as well. So intensity has certainly kind of ramped up in the last 30 minutes. So there's still a lot more where this is coming from. So this is going to be kind of the name of the game over the next couple of days. Let's talk tropics real quick. If you have a cruise, if you have a trip, if you have family or friends in areas from Texas down through Mexico along the Gulf Coast, they're waiting and kind of awaiting the approach of what they're right now labeling as is a potential tropical cyclone 1. What that means, just kind of a quick little explanation, is this system is not a nice closed center of circulation with winds upwards of 39 plus miles per hour. So it doesn't have that ability to have the tropical depression or tropical name attached to it. But because it's so close to the coastline, the National Hurricane Center wants to be able to send out those advisories because they are still expecting it to become something, but they like to give folks a heads up earlier. So you can see here, these are the latest stats as of 5 a.m. this morning. Sustained winds right now at 40 miles per hour. So we are getting those winds in place. We just don't have that nice closed center to officially call it a tropical storm. So you can see a lot of models, their forecast cones still showing it making landfall in Mexico, I should say, not Texas, even though you're going to be hearing a lot about Texas flooding. This system officially looks to make landfall in Mexico, just north of Tampico, as we head into early Thursday morning. Beyond that, we're watching two other areas. Same place where PTC number 1 is. We're watching for the potential of another area of low pressure to emerge into the southwestern Gulf. That could develop. So the National Hurricane Center is giving that a 30%. And then, yes, I know if you're watching us from anywhere along the east coast of Florida or southeast part of the country, your focus is on that other area out over just northern Bahamas there. That has a 20% chance of development. Now, the good news is with that area of disturbed weather, it's going to continue to make its way closer to us here in Florida, but it's still not looking like it's going to develop into anything significant, possibly just kind of an open tropical wave that will continue to kind of inject more of that mid-level moisture. That's what we are already starting to deal with. We're seeing those scattered showers that will continue to stream in. Is it directly associated with it? No, but when you've got that surge coming in, you can see that it extends pretty wide. So scattered showers off and on throughout today. We're going to have another round of it returning late tonight. So again, a couple of the pitter patter on your windows later on tonight. Same story, waking up tomorrow morning to some more scattered showers. And that's going to be kind of the name of the game. We're going to have that steady breeze that at least will be keeping temperatures below average into the upper 80s. That breeze out of the east between about 15 to 20 miles per hour. Now, if today for Juneteenth you have it off and you want to enjoy the day along the beach, obviously the weather doesn't look great right now along our beaches, but the surf and the seas are going to be rough. So beach goers, boaters, do beware. We have a high surf advisory, a small craft advisory, high surf. Oh, and a high risk of rip currents in the forecast for today and Thursday, starting to improve a little bit as we head into the weekend, but that tropical kind of moisture there really roughing up our surf. Tomorrow, by the way, the official start of summer, and it looks like we're going to be starting very well summer-like, near normal temperatures, near normal rain chances as we head into the first weekend of summer come Saturday and Sunday. So not the best looking forecast, but also not the worst. We're not looking, Bridget, at anything very severe or when it comes to rainfall, no real big flooding threat. So rain wise and storm wise, nothing too concerning. Tropical development for us here in Central Florida, also not very concerning as well. So there's still lots of talk about in the weather department, but nothing too negative. If you know what I
Okay,
mean.
good. Well, keep the beneficial rain coming, and
Yeah, we'll do.
we'll keep the umbrella handy.
Yeah, and we will get our drought update tomorrow, and that will include kind of the late last week's rain and what we're seeing now. So that certainly will have hopefully some good impacts on that
Yeah.
outlook.
Yes, definitely. All right. Thank you, Candace.
You're welcome.
All righty. See you soon. District 5, we had the runoff yesterday, and Results 2024 news, voters in District 5 elected Shan Rose. She beat out State Rep Traveris McCurdy with 54% of the vote, and she will finish up the remainder of Regina Hill's term, which ends in January 2026. Now, this was a hard-fought runoff. It got a little bit ugly earlier this week, and of course, it has been controversial because Regina Hill was suspended by the governor after she was arrested and charged for allegedly stealing upwards of $100,000 from an elderly woman. And so we're continuing to follow that story, and we'll, have more from Miss Rose and what she's planning to do a little bit later today. And just check out clickorlando.com, and we'll see you at noon and at 4 o'clock with more updates on that. With OUC, we're getting some news about the solar panels. We've had different things play out with solar panels and how they can be beneficial, how you can save money with them, how they are, more eco-friendly. Now, OUC, an electric company, of course, they are offering to pay you for power that you're not using. Well, now there's another twist with that. One Central Florida power company is thinking of paying less for that extra energy you're not using. So here is Troy Campbell to explain more on that.
And it goes into the box, which then goes into this meter.
What is the latest of where you stand with OUC with their proposal on reimbursement rates for solar?
Well, I haven't seen anything new, and I am horrified by what they proposed.
Orlando City Commissioner Patty Sheehan is spearheading a pushback against a proposal by OUC to lower the amount the utility reimburses to solar customers. Do you think that the change in reimbursement could be the difference between someone in Orlando switching to solar or not?
Of course. The only way that this makes sense is net metering.
So right now, the latest OUC proposal calls for the reimbursement rate to be reduced from 11 cents per kilowatt hour down to 4 cents per kilowatt hour. Now that's decreasing the reimbursement rate by nearly 2/3. Commissioner Sheehan says that's no way to encourage others to adopt solar as well. OUC tells us, we understand that the proposed program may cause concern for some rooftop solar customers. That's why we recommend a balanced approach that recognizes rooftop solar contributions while also making sure that everyone has access to affordable power. Opponents of net metering say upkeep and maintenance for power cables and transformers isn't cheap, so reimbursing solar customers at the current rate simply doesn't make sense.
Why would you kill solar energy in the Sunshine State? Even Governor DeSantis vetoed the net metering bill a couple years ago.
How does that feel to agree with DeSantis on this issue?
Very weird.
In Orlando, Troy Campbell, Getting Results, News 6.
All right, so the plot thickens with that. We want to talk about conflict resolution, especially when it comes to conflicts at work this morning. And we have lead facilitator at JAMS Pathways with us this morning, Deidre McCarthy Gallagher. And JAMS Pathways is a dispute resolutions services provider. And so it's great to know that there are groups out there like this. It's good to have you with us this morning, Deirdre.
Thanks so much, Bridget. Good to be with you.
So what happens at JAMS Pathways and where are you located? You said you're all over?
Yes, so we're part of JAMS, which is the world's leading private dispute resolution provider. So we build on decades of experience from JAMS, and we expand on that by filling the need for skilled early conflict intervention. So conflict intervention at the lowest possible level before a conflict really boils over, before collateral damage is experienced, which is particularly damaging in the workplace, as we all know.
So now, is this when it comes to, people wanting to file a lawsuit per se, or on a smaller scale?
So it really is at the earliest possible level. So it's when kind of misunderstandings are brewing. Conflict is maybe bubbling, but it hasn't erupted. And people are trying to navigate what to do about that. Often those skills in how to manage conflict are not intuitive, which is where JAMS Pathways comes in. We work with entities who come to us and say, there has to be a better way. We know that we are spending an inordinate amount of time trying to put out the fires of conflict rather than do the work of our organizations to further the missions of our organizations. We just want to get back to work. We know there has to be a better way. And so we partner with organizations to figure out what is that path forward. It's really a customized approach to get a clear understanding. What are the challenges facing you? What are the big issues on your desk? And how can we equip folks with the skills to talk through those big issues and figure out a path to move forward?
And so what does that look like right now? Are we seeing certain types of trends based on where we are in time? We've come through a pandemic, it's an election year, it's the summertime. How do all those factors play into things that are happening in our workplace? We have people working in different ways now more than ever.
Oh, that's a terrific question. So we see, there definitely are kind of underlying threads of why conflict happens, and we can talk about that. As far as the themes we're seeing conflicts around change, just because we are responding to this real kind of revolution in how we work. And that can be unsettling for folks who are wondering, where do I fit in? What does that mean about me as an employee, as a manager, as a leader? We're also seeing conflicts around inclusion. Whose voices are prioritized? How are they prioritized? What is the forum to make those voices heard? We're also seeing conflicts around psychological safety. So folks who have challenges with things that are happening at work, where can they go to raise their concerns, and do they feel safe in doing so? So those are general themes. I would say summertime brings up some interesting dynamics, just because there are stressors that are unique to what is happening once we hit summer. We hear about the lazy days of summer and summer fun. In the workplace, actually, the stress can be heightened. And there are three reasons for this. One is what is happening at work. So there are summertime stressors just around navigating vacation schedules, covering for colleagues while they are on vacation, all while trying to maintain your work routine and your workload, and also just kind of navigating around your own vacation time and the mountain of work that will be piling up when you get back. There are also questions around what is happening at home. And there are summertime stressors. If there are working parents, there's the stress of trying to cover childcare gaps. And that can create exhaustion, that can create financial stress. And finally, and also if we're hosting out of town guests, maybe family, we know that that's not always as relaxing as it could be. And then finally, we're thinking about just kind of the larger context, what's happening in our world. And we're in an increasingly complex world, and that seeps into the workplace. We also, it is, undeniable that as the summer is heating up, the political cycle is heating up because of the election in the fall. And again, that can creep into the workplace and add to the stress, the unique stress of the summertime.
What are some of those tips that you give employees working through some of these stressors that you just mentioned?
Okay. Well, we talked about kind of some of the roots of conflict, and communication is really at the heart of why conflict can boil over, and it provides the key for how to navigate through it. So, when we say, well, we should just talk about it, that sounds so simple, and yet we know that takes planning and that takes skill, which is why we're here. So as far as different simple tools that we try to impart to folks, first, when you are feeling that you're in conflict with someone, when you feel that there's a misunderstanding, replace judgment with curiosity. So when in conflict, we often think that our version of the story is the only story. Take a moment to step back and ask yourself, what don't I know? What can I learn? And we love the powerful phrase, tell me more about that. So that's first. Second is listen to understand rather than listen to respond. And again, this sounds pretty simple, yet it requires us to turn off the noise that's inside our head and clear space to hear a different perspective. When you do this, you might realize that you have more in common than you think. Third, separate the people from the problem. Often when we're in conflict, we are trying to vanquish the person rather than tackle the problem. So we want to shift our perspective and focus on the problem and think about the person who may be kind of across the table from us as a partner in tackling that program. And one simple tool to encourage this is tweaking just one word, moving from yes, but to yes, and. Again, it's such a simple thing to do, yet at the same time, it encourages a conversation and a recognition that there are different perspectives on what is going on. And finally, if you find yourself getting heated, if you find yourself really becoming emotional, try to take a breath, try to count to 10, suspend your reaction. Why does this help? Because often our instinctive reaction is not always entirely constructive. But by suspending your reaction for a moment, sitting with the silence, it allows us to cool down and really think about, what do I want to accomplish here? And how might I do that in a constructive way?
Mm-hmm. And sometimes conflict can't be avoided. It is a part of daily living in some way, shape, or form. It's going to pop up. So how do you teach, managers and people in leadership how to deal with these conflicts that arise, maybe not for them, but for the people that they're leading? How do you coach them and how to deal with all these different types of personalities and different types of conflicts that come up around a big variety of issues?
I mean, that is such a terrific question. And you're absolutely right. We can't eliminate conflict, and that's not what we're trying to do. In fact, conflict can be a real opportunity to learn, to grow, to understand. So starting with that with managers, because again, there's this instinct to try to avoid it, to try to run away from it. But two things. First off is to try to anticipate. And what we mean by that is to plan for conflict, plan for difficult conversations, and go through it and think about, what is it that is really important to me here? What are my concerns? What are my interests? And what might the interest be for the other folks who are engaged in this conflict? How do I want to have this conversation? Process is super important. Where am I having this conversation? How am I starting this conversation? Again, creating a space so that people feel that their voices can be heard can really create a certain mindset that, we are all in this together. So that's the planning piece. There's also just the piece of communicating. And going back to the tools we talked about, recognizing that we want people to feel comfortable speaking up. The best way to do that, and the best way to make people feel like they want to share what it is that's important to them, is to listen to them. This is a powerful tool, and we teach it and we emphasize it because it matters. It matters for the person who is engaged in this conflict, and it matters for leaders because they can learn so much and create an entirely different tone. We also just flag that as leaders, it's okay to enlist help. This is tough work. And there are experts out there. It is not a sign of defeat to call in the experts. In fact, it's a really proactive and courageous move to recognize, I know there is a better way, and I'm struggling to get there. Let me see if there are others who can help me, break open the challenges that I'm encountering so we can move forward together and focus on the work that we are here to do.
And so who are you working with? Like, are people like, do they pick up the bat phone and say like, hey, we've got like a bunch of drama, come over here and help us? Or is it more like, hey, we're about to go through a big transition and we would like you to come alongside us and help us shape a way to roll this out? Or what are the types of situations that come up? Are people going off to a boot camp to meet with you for a conference? What types of things go on?
So it's varied as far as how things come to us. Folks go to jamspathways.com and fill out, interest forms to indicate I might want to have a conversation with the team about what's happening with us. People will call us up or hear about individuals on the Pathways team and say, you know what? Again, I recognize things are not working optimally. We may not be in full-blown conflict, but we could do better. So they reach out to us, and there's a whole menu of services. So from training to facilitated dialogue. And the nice thing about the services is it's not off the shelf. It's really customized because what we recognize and what we respect is that everybody comes to us at a different place. And I will say one thing I hear often is people, my goodness, you probably have never seen anything challenging as this. We've seen it all. We have decades of experience on the Pathways. And what we do is we take each situation as it comes. We learn about it. We get to know, what are the challenges that folks are facing and how might we be able to help? And that might look, it might be a combination of skills building, for example, for folks and how to have a difficult conversation, and then facilitating a dialogue around difficult issues. But people are better able to do that because they are now grounded in the skills to navigate those difficult conversations.
And so can this be from a small business to a large corporation?
Absolutely. And everywhere in between. We any sort of workplace where things aren't working optimally. We work in healthcare, we work in higher education, we work in the trades. And again, if you're out there and you're just thinking, gosh, there must be a better way, I am spending a lot of time navigating conflict. I find, I think the statistic now is that managers are spending up to 4 hours a week navigating conflict. Employees report being in conflict 2.8 hours a week. When you think about that from a time and resource perspective, that is powerful. When you think about that from a relationship perspective, the wear and tear on relationships, it is no surprise that the percentage of folks who are reporting that they're quiet quitting, so they're showing up at their jobs, but they're not engaged in their jobs, is extremely high and is increasing. This is important work, and really it is an investment in leaders, it's an investment in employees, it's an investment in organizations, and just giving people a chance to get back to the work that they love to do.
Yes, and there's a lot going on in this opportunity, like you said, for growth and understanding, better communication. So this is great information. How do we connect with you and JAMS and keep in touch and learn some more?
Oh, terrific. You can go to jamspathways.com, and we look forward to hearing from folks. Again, this is what we love to do. We are passionate about figuring out a way to help people navigate conflict, connect across differences, not just for the presenting problem, but also to equip them with skills to navigate conflict in the future.
Awesome. Great. I'm so glad to hear
Thank
that
you so much,
those
Bridgett.
resources exist. Thank you, Deidre. Good to meet you.
Great to see you.
Take care. There you go. So Jams Pathways, check it out, jamspathways.com. Quickly want to tell you to go to clickorlando.com and find out about some of the great Juneteenth events happening around Central Florida. You can learn more about the traditions, the holiday, the history, and there are many things going on. Our own Crystal Moyer will be at an event at 6:30 this evening at the Orange County Multicultural Center, and there will be many performers there, storytellers, and just a great cultural event to take part in this evening. So make sure you check that out. Go to clickorlando.com/topic/Juneteenth and check out some more events happening around our area. And so that'll do it for us. While you're on clickorlando.com, also let us know about stories that you'd like us to cover in downtown Orlando, 32801 zip code, because we're hitting the road again for 4th of July, and we hope to help you make your voice heard. So go there, check it out, clickorlando.com/hitstheroad. And I'm going to let you go for now. Weather-wise and Trooper Steve on patrol are up next. I'll see you for News 6 at noon on WKMG. Take care.